Hey guys, Joel here again. Today I'm going to talk about the word we all love, responsibility. Of course, when we were growing up, responsibility meant simple things like do your homework, clean your room, take out your trash, uh, practice for soccer, practice for your sport, practice for wrestling. My response was usually, yes, mom, absolutely. At least that's how I remember it. Honestly, I can still hear my mom's voice in my head today. Joel, be responsible. Back then, being responsible meant, doing the chores, being disciplined, making most of your time, doing your homework, doing what you're supposed to do, even when you did not feel like doing it. All of that, of course, it still matters. But today, the word responsibility, it just carries a lot more weight for me because responsibility is not only about what you do, it's also about how you respond. Stephen Covey, in his great book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, he describes responsibility as responsibility, the ability to choose your response. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to what happens. And I tell you what, no matter who you are, life's going to throw you some curveballs. Something that you did not choose is going to hit you. It could be grief, trauma, failure, rejection, financial setback, relationship that falls apart, diagnosis that you never expected. Or if you're in real estate, it could be simply 3 deals falling apart in the same week, while everybody else on social media appears to have selling a house every 5 to 6 minutes. Life is going to hit you. Life is going to be hard. Life is hard. And real estate, can make you feel powerless if you let it. An agent can wake up in the morning and say, hey, I'm unemployed again today. Nobody's guaranteeing me a paycheck. Nobody's handing me a client. Nobody's making the phone ring. Nobody's forcing anyone to work with me. The market is difficult. Interest rates are high. People are not answering. My deals keep falling apart. The list goes on and on, right? I'm unemployed today. Or that same agent can wake up and say, I'm self-employed today. This is my business. This is my responsibility. I'm taking ownership of this day. I can't guarantee that everybody's going to answer the call. I can't control that. I can't control the interest rates. I can't control the market. I can't control another agent, difficult client, appraisal, inspection, whether someone changes their mind 5 minutes before closing, but I can control whether I do those things, whether I make the call, whether I follow up, whether I prepare, whether I learn, improve, show up, do the work. That is responsibility, I believe, when it comes to real estate. But truthfully, that principle goes far beyond real estate. Returning to someone, of course, I come deeply to admire and respect Viktor Frankl. In the concentration camps, Frankl endured circumstances more horrific than most of us could possibly imagine. In prison, Nazi concentration camps, everything was taken from him: his freedom, his possessions, his family, his career, his sense of safety. He couldn't control what was happening around him. But what did he do? He came to understand that there was still one freedom his captors could not completely take away, and that was his ability to choose his attitude and his response. Frankl observed that people who could still find meaning by helping someone else or encouraging another prisoner or holding on to love, faith, or reason to keep going, they were able to face their suffering differently. And finding purpose did not guarantee, of course, that they would survive. Many did not, but it allowed them to live and sometimes die with meaning instead of surrendering completely to despair. Frankl's message was not that suffering is good. It was that even in suffering, purpose can still be found. Frankl said that he found purpose and meaning in his suffering. And there are moments when we cannot change the situation. We can't undo what happened. We cannot bring someone back. We cannot force another person to love us. We can't erase every failure. We cannot control every outcome. But we can still decide what that pain will produce inside us. Will it produce bitterness or compassion? Will it produce fear or faith? Will it make us withdraw from life? Or will it give us a reason to serve someone else who's walking through the same thing, maybe? We can choose the powerlessness or we can choose purpose. It doesn't mean that, we pretend pain is not painful. It doesn't mean grief is easy. It does not mean we smile, quote a Bible verse and act like everything is fine when it's not. It means pain does not have to have the final word. In the scripture, Romans 5 tells us that suffering produces perseverance. Perseverance produces character. Character produces hope. There's a process there. Suffering is not the destination. Hope is. 2 Timothy 1:7, it says, God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-discipline. Think about those three things. Power reminds us that we're not helpless. Love determines how we treat people while we're under pressure. Self-discipline helps us to do what's right, even when making excuses, could be easier. You've probably heard the phrase, choose your hard. I think it's in a Motiversity video or two, choose your hard. Making the calls, of course, as an agent is hard. Having no business is hard. Following up is hard. Wondering where the next client will come from is hard. Taking responsibility is hard. Again, feeling powerless is hard. Working through pain is hard. Staying trapped inside that pain and suffering is hard. But forgiving is hard. Living with bitterness is hard. Discipline is hard. Regret is hard. You don't always get to choose whether life will be difficult, but you can choose which difficulty is going to lead you somewhere. You can choose the hard that develops perseverance, the hard that builds character, the hard that strengthens your faith, the hard that eventually leads to hope. So today, and every day I try to ask myself, am I acting powerless? Or am I living with purpose? Am I spending all my energy blaming the market, my circumstances, my past, things that happened to me, another person, everything that has gone wrong? Or am I taking responsibility for the response I can choose today? Because responsibility does not mean that everything that happened to you was your fault. Some things were not your fault. Some things were unfair. Some things never should have happened. Responsibility means that you are no longer willing to give those things control of what you do next. And so today, I can still hear my mom's voice, Joel, be responsible. But today those words, they mean something deeper. Be responsible with your time, with your gifts, with your business. Be responsible with how you treat people. Be responsible with the pain you have survived. And most importantly, be responsible for the response that you choose. So my goal every day, it's simple. Choose responsibility. Choose faith. Choose purpose. Choose the hard that leads to hope and a better future, because you may not have chosen what happened to you, but with God's help, you can definitely choose what you do next.